Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
They want to make you drink Starbucks every day from now until forever.
Stupid.
Sounds Nation, Waldorf Nation, what's up everybody? It's Friday. Oh wow. Alright, so it's Friday. We're looking at a pretty nice holiday weekend, but before we do that, we're gonna get to some stories. And we've got fun ones. Including, yes, Andrew Tate. It's a fun story. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Andrew Tate, and I'm more looking towards the Facebook audience, you all might not be familiar with him. So I'm going to give you some backstory. We're gonna go through a little bit of the Andrew Tate lore, and then of course to Tate taking down himself. Fun, always fun as usual. But first we're going to get to Kimberly Guilfoyle. And her demands for payment. Fun. We have Trump owning himself on climate change. We have Virginia Thomas, or Ginni Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas, admitting some stuff. There's some stuff that has been admitted. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have Ray Epps getting a little tired of conspiracy theories. Turns out the leopards have come for his face, and he is not happy about it. All right. So before I do, I just want to take a real quick second here to get something. So stay right here. All right, so with that, let's start the show. Oh, before you do, please like and share the stream. Now we can start. Who would have thought they would have eaten his face? I know. They never see it coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
You all remember that moment where Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was an ex-Fox News personality, had given that speech? Or, maybe if you don't remember it, sorry to have to expose you to it again, but you may remember the memes. For example, that's my favorite one. All right, either way, it may surprise you to know that this moment might not have happened. In fact, it was very close to not happening. Interesting. So now, this is according to transcripts released by the House Select Committee investigating January 6th. So it turns out Guilfoyle was demanding significant payment in order to do that speech. $60,000. So now, investigators had spoken to GOP fundraiser organizer Carolyn Wren, and in her deposition, Ms. Wren was asked about emails in which Ms. Guilfoyle had made repeated inquiries about her speaking fee, both in the days before the rally and following the rally. In the emails that were dated 2nd January and 6th January 2020, I don't know why the dates are like that. Probably because I used a UK source. Damn you, Brits! Anyway, with those in the latter being sent at 10:54 a.m. before the rally and after the rally at 4:17 p.m. So the timing's a little bit interesting, although I think there's a pretty good explanation for that. That said, Ms. Wren told the panel that she believed that Guilfoyle had sent that last email the previous day and suggested that it was delayed because of the lack of Wi-Fi on her plane and the large number of people that were currently rioting at the Capitol, kind of clogging things up. You know, the live streamers that were filming themselves doing crime on January 6th. So anyway, that's a fair explanation and not really the focus of this, honestly. The focus here is how she was trying to make money. In fact, Guilfoyle wrote to Wren in one exchange, "You will pay us. That's the deal, so don't even think about it. You will send the funds as promised." Now, part of me is like, all right, hey, look, they promised you money. They can't go back on it now, right? I mean, if they told you they were going to pay you to speak, well, then they got to send the money. And her demanding that she get paid for something that she was supposed to do, okay, that's fair. But still, we're talking about $60,000 for a 2-minute and 45-second speech. And considering how, look, she's saying, hey, my time is not free. But wait, that's a rally that's supposed to support Donald Trump. I thought, okay, look, apparently she's like, yeah, I know I'm here to support Donald Trump because I'm part of the Trump family, or will be part of the Trump family because she's dating Donald Trump Jr. But no, my time, not free. I got to get a little something in return. Apparently, she, I guess, is that makes her fit more into the Trump family. It's like, hey, no, I'm about the money. Give me the money. Give me the money. All right. I mean, she's basically telling him, hey, what?
I'm not worth your McDonald's money?
No. You're going to give me the money. I'm not worth your money. Give me the money. Give me the money. Give it now. Give it now. Now, think about that, though, for a second. I don't think I've ever heard people getting paid to speak at political rallies. And maybe it happens. I just don't know. I mean, for example, I don't think anybody was paid to speak at a Bernie rally. I mean, maybe you could present me evidence to the contrary. But generally, if you're speaking at a rally for a politician, you're not getting paid for it as like a speaking fee, right? Because like, if you're at an event and you're a speaker, okay, I can see you getting paid for that. But at an event where you're supposed to be there to show your support for a candidate, I don't know, that seems weird. Never heard of that. But Guilfoyle says, oh, what, you want me to speak? Pay me, bitch. Give me the money. In fact, after a disagreement about payment, Guilfoyle had sent a message to Wren saying that, hey, we don't see that money. We're done. We're not just done. We're done for life. Wow. Now, getting back to what she had actually said during that 2-minute, 45-second speech, she said, "It's been an honor to stand and fight alongside Trump and his family, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to stand and fight throughout this country with one of the greatest Americans I have pleasure to know." Yes, yes. It gives her great pleasure to stand there because she's getting paid $60,000 for that. She made more in the 2 minutes and 45 seconds that she was speaking than the average middle income person in the United States makes the entire year. She was paid just over $176.47 per word. Those are some expensive words. No wonder she was shouting, because they were really expensive. I mean, it's amazing. Again, disturbing, right? And look, according to CNN, Guilfoyle was reportedly paid the sum by Julie Fancelli, the heiress to the supermarket chain Publix, which I've never shopped at Publix, and I probably never will. And it was through the organization Turning Point Action. So this tells me a couple of different things. Number one, there's too much money in the right wing from giant corporations. We already knew that. Yes, it's been obvious for a very, very long time. But just, things like this, we're getting paid to speak at a rally for somebody that you had already supported at such a high. And by the way, threatening to not speak at that rally if you didn't get paid. It's bizarre, but there's too much money in the right wing. There's too much money in the right. So bizarre. Now, secondly, that money thing is actually super important because her threatening not to speak at that until she gets, unless she gets paid, means that she was only motivated because of the money, because of the payment. It's bizarre. They have no philosophy except for greed. But as I mentioned before, maybe that's why she fits so well inside of the family. It's why they're together. They're two grifters in a pod. The whole family is out there to make as much money as possible. And I guess this is just a really good illustration of it. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the next story here. Who knows what she was motivated to do for cash besides the speech? Oh, please don't go in that direction. Let's not. You're gonna make me do inappropriate sound effects.
Sexual anarchy.
God damn it! Why, Judd? Why, Judd? Why? Why did you make me do it?
Insurrection is about the people.
No, it's not. Okay. Anyway. I'm saying I didn't say these. What are you talking about? You think? Former President Donald Trump was roundly mocked after he decided to ask a really stupid question. On his platform, you know the platform, okay?
Truth, essential.
Well, he asked, in response, by the way, to a devastating blizzard, whatever happened to global warming? Whatever happened to global warming? Oh, yes. Yeah. No. Oh, great question. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good question. Right.
Clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're going to clean it.
Very, very smart, very stable genius asking the hard questions. Whatever happened to the global? It snowed outside. Can you believe that? Global warming. Now, look, to give you some context into how stupid this is, and by the way, how heartless it was for Trump to truth that. Remember, this winter storm left 37 people dead in Western New York. So people died as a result of this. And here he is trying to, think that it's a dunk on scientists and science, of which there is broad consensus that A, climate change exists, and B, most importantly, that human activities such as putting carbon and methane and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere at such a rate that we are doing as this industrialized world species is devastating for the environment. So, and look, you want to say, oh, let's just look at snow. There's a blizzard. Climate change. Or global warming. What happened to it? Okay, well, it's funny because a week after this devastating storm, which, by the way, hit my state as well, Michigan, well, right now it's like 50 degrees. What happened? What happened? Now, that's not normal. High temperatures that are continuously breaking records every single year in both winter and summer. Not normal. I remember when I was a kid, the snow actually stayed in the ground the whole winter, as opposed to now, which it doesn't. I can't remember a time in recent history where this has happened. And I think that's an example of global trends, in some cases, making weather generally unusual for the times of year. Again, we're talking about record high temperatures during, the summer months and the winter months as well. It gets weird. And so now, look, climate change, of course, is a change in weather patterns over a long period of time. And normally, climate deniers, they'll say a few things, right? They'll say lots of things. And one of the things they'll say is actually kind of rooted in a little bit of science, but misrepresented. And in fact, they'll say things like, well, climate's always changed. Okay, yeah, sure. It has, yes. But normally, the rapid changes that you see here that are being documented take longer. They're not rapid normally. It usually takes a long time to see the changes that we're seeing in geologic time for this to happen. But since industrialization, it's been rapid. It's been rapidly changing, going faster. What would normally take tens of thousands, if not longer, of years to happen is happening in a couple of centuries. And that is disturbing, that is alarming, and it's not good. Very, very, to put it in Trump terms, it's very, very bad. Tremendously bad, not good. Okay? And so, look, there are times, of course, that climate has changed rapidly pre-industrialization. Usually that happens as a result of cataclysms like volcanic eruptions. So you could say that what we've done to the climate is basically a slow-burning cataclysm. Now, it would be slow in our perspective, but again, going back to geologic time, which is a span of millions and millions of years, actually is not a long time at all. Very, very rapid. So with a very, very simple science lesson over, let's get back to mocking Trump. Okay. So now, Aaron Rupert, who posted this on Twitter, responded with, "Checkmate, libs. Yeah, I got a snowball." Remember when that idiot brought that snowball into Congress? That's Inhofe, I believe. He's still in Congress. He comes in, so I got a snowball. Obviously, there's no global warming. It's cold outside. It snowed. I got a snowball. Yeah, okay. Sure. Another person had tweeted this. Buffalo might like word. It had this massive storm, which, again, these storms are not caused by climate change, but understand the conditions that create these storms, freak storms especially, these so-called once-in-a-lifetime or once-in-a-century storms seem to be happening like every year now. Guess what? That's fueled by climate change. In fact, another person says, it's called science. Global warming is the average of the whole Earth, not specific areas. Another person added, we had to rename it climate change for simple minds like Trump's. To which he would probably say, no, I'm a genius. I'm a very stable genius. You know what?
And then they say, "Is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person."
I'm like a smart person. Talking about a smart, very intelligent. Anyway, so now, look, this is a person who thought he was smarter than meteorologists when it came to predicting the path of a hurricane. Remember Sharpie Gate? Sharpie Gate. I mean, yes, he used this Sharpie to try and fail to prove the point that Alabama was going to get hit massively. And turns out they didn't with Hurricane Dorian. And, he also asked if he could nuke a hurricane in order to change its course. These were serious inquiries by the then president of the United States. I think he's the last person that anybody needs to listen to when it comes to weather, climate, or basically anything science related. Anything outside of, oh shoot, I don't know. Is there anything that he's actually good at? That he's actually smart? I don't know. I actually don't think that he's good at anything. I mean, you can say that he's good at lying to people, but his lies are so ridiculous and easily disproven. It's not really a good point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe he's good at scamming people, but then he keeps getting caught with these scams. Although people keep falling for them, so I don't know. I guess the people falling for them have to be either really dumb or just not paying enough attention to know what's going on to get themselves scammed. I don't really know. But I do know can't trust Trump on anything science related. I mean, after all,
The brand new F-35s, fighter jets. They're stealth. You can't see them.
you can't see. They're literally invisible. I can't see them at all. No, that's not what stealth means. Dumbest man in America trying to I guess, gaslight you into not knowing, to not seeing that the climate is changing and that we are having a massive effect on it. Our industry and these corporations that continue to pump out massive amounts of green. Anyway, let's move on. Go to the fun Andrew Tate story. Which is always fun. If you're keeping track of the scoreboard between Greta Thunberg and Andrew Tate, well, it's Greta 2, Andrew big fat 0. So look, Andrew Tate, of course, is the right-wing manosphere influencer. And he is just not winning against the 19-year-old Swedish climate activist. In fact, he was recently raided and arrested by Romanian authorities on allegations of human trafficking. Partly, I think, thanks to this beef with Greta Thunberg that he started. So I'm going to explain what happens, or what had happened, and give you the context of, how this all played out. Now, it all started with Tate, who was allowed back onto Twitter thanks to Elon Musk. Thanks, Elon. Appreciate it.
Elon.
So now he decided to message Thunberg, and basically brag about his emissions, his tremendous emissions, the best emissions, the greatest emissions. Okay. He says, I have 33 cars, my Bugatti, as a blah, blah, don't care. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. Okay. So I'll get to her response, which I talked about in the show before. But I just got to ask, first of all, why does anybody care that he has 33 cars? And secondly, why would you want 33 cars? I mean, I don't know. You can't drive them all at once. And so therefore that kind of takes away from the gigantic emissions part, for one, unless you are somehow driving 33 of them at once. But anyway, now, to be fair to the car collectors out there, I'm going to cite the example of Jay Leno. So look, Jay Leno, we know he's got a gigantic car collection, antique cars, all these different vehicles, right? I've never seen Jay Leno dunk on or use his vehicle collection to dunk on other people for clout. Never seen it before. So, you know, I mean, car collectors, totally fine. But if you're trying to use it to dunk on a 19-year-old, that's weird. That's creepy and actually super sad. So that said, for Tate, let me give you some lore on Andrew Tate. So those who are unfamiliar with him should know that he was a former kickboxer. I guess not like super, super well known, but okay. Sure. But he's, I think, more well known for getting kicked off Big Brother UK. So there's some controversy surrounding that. Apparently he was filmed hitting a woman with a belt. Although later on she comes out and she says, oh, no, he's my friend. This is consensual. Well, based on the new information, kind of curious. Really his friend? There's a lot of questions here. Now, he had also at the same time come under scrutiny for homophobic and racist comments, as well as, of course, misogynistic comments. And so he started afterwards, after his career in kickboxing had ended, he started a training course to teach people how to become rich. And how do they become rich? By giving Andrew Tate money. Yes. Oh, by the way, he also allegedly teaches you how to talk to women and get women by having you say horrible things to women and treat them terribly. Great. So, all right. Sure. Now, he also ran a so-called webcam business. Okay, there's nothing wrong with running a webcam business, but it's actually kind of shady. In fact, they admitted that it was shady. Later, saying that it was basically a total scam. So now what they would do basically is to get the 75 women who worked at this webcam business, right, to tell men fake sob stories. Like, oh, my, I have college debt, which is, I guess, super believable, but nonetheless. Oh, I need help. I need money. Please chat with me. And okay. Now the men would send money because to these women, thinking that the women were, they cared about them. And even it's in some cases that the women wanted to meet the men. And some of the customers fell for that they could have a real relationship with these women. And so, there's a lot of deception here and just preying on people, which is incredibly gross. These women, of course, were working for Tate to, get all this money. And of course, there was claims, oh, no, I split it 50-50. There's other contradictory claims saying, actually, no, they paid these women very little. And possibly these women might have been forced to work there. We're not entirely sure. We'll get more details from this investigation as it continues. But essentially, screwing over men is basically how the Tate brothers had made millions of dollars. And again, that's their entire career, essentially. His brother Tristan, in fact, defended the practice by saying, oh, no. See, look, these broadcasts were for entertainment purposes only. Really? Well, that's not what the men who were signed up for this believed. He also said that all the cash given to the models was a voluntary sign of gratitude for their time broadcasting. Oh, so it's just like it's like a super chat. It's like it's bits or something like that, right? Yeah, that's all it is. No, we weren't lying to men and making them think that they were having real relationships with these women who claim that they were, going through hard times. Right. Sure. Okay. Now, there's another thing, another way that he screwed over young men, and that's Hustlers University. So Hustlers University, which is a lot like Trump University in the fact that it doesn't exist, it's not a real thing, not a real university. It was essentially a Discord server. A Discord server that where men and boys, teenagers even, as young as 13, would pay Tate $50 a month for, I guess, advice on crypto investing, but mainly they were just encouraged to spread the gospel of Tate. And how did they do that? By flooding social media with his videos. And that's it. In fact, they were told to flood social media with controversial Tate videos. The more controversial, the better. In one guide, Hustlers University students were told that attracting comments and controversy would be the key to their success. Quote, what you ideally want is a mix of 60 to 70% fans and 40 to 30% haters. You want arguments, you want war. And the reason that they wanted that, of course, is algorithms. They game the social media algorithms because more comments, more views, more engagement, and if it's negative engagement, drives further traffic to those videos and those posts. And so, yes, they understand how social media works, and it's a lot of it's driven on controversy. Now, these members were told that they could earn up to £10,000 a month through lessons on crypto, drop shipping, and of course, I think most importantly, recruiting others to Hustlers University, claiming that they would make 48% commission on each person that they refer. And look, that sounds a lot like a pyramid scheme. So there is an element of a pyramid scheme here within this entire Hustlers University scam. So all of them, this business model of scamming young men into essentially giving them money and then spreading, videos, doing marketing for Andrew Tate. I mean, that's not the only part that's bad. You have the misogynistic comments. For example, he had told rape victims that they bared responsibility for that rape. Yeah, telling them women that they belonged in the home. Making violent threats against women if they had cheated. He'd even bragged about essentially grooming teen girls, targeting them as soon as they became 18 or 19 years old so that he could make a quote-unquote imprint on them as a 37-year-old man. So all of that is disgusting. All of that is horrid. But what got him in trouble again is worse, because he and his brother were allegedly doing human trafficking. So now, in fact, back in April of 2022, the brothers' mansions was first raided by police following a tip-off from the U.S. Embassy that a 21-year-old American woman was being held against her will. Now, they were actually taken into custody before and were questioned for a few hours and then released. They then denied wrongdoing. The Romanian authorities later said that the investigation had expanded to cover human trafficking and rape allegations, but they didn't have the evidence yet. So now, in relation to this, by the way, a Romanian police officer was arrested that apparently helped to try to cover this up. So now, the Tates, by the way, had moved to Romania back in 2017. And they claimed it was because, 40% of the reason was because that they believed that Romania would be less likely to investigate sexual assault cases. Gee, right out in the open. Like, yeah, well, most of it is because we think they're going to be pretty lenient on sexual assault. So, I mean, this is brazen. This is brazen. Now, that said, it was believed that Romanian authorities at the point before he was arrested didn't know if he was in the country. Now, I don't know if that's true. Romanian authorities are like, oh, no. The arrest and him beefing with Greta Thunberg, that's, it's just a coincidence. Okay, I guess maybe. I don't want to believe it, though. No. So let's go back to Greta. With all that lore taken care of, she responded to his tweet about the 33 cars. Yes, please do enlighten me. Email at me, smalldickenergy@getalife.com. That tweet got 3.6 million likes and was viewed 258 million times. It's actually I believe the 6th most liked tweet on the platform. Damn. Apparently, that was so much of a burn, and it got under Tate's skin so much that he decided to film this video.
I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good. Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty to stop the sun from being hot.
This guy is one of the dumbest men on the planet. I mean, knows how to scam people, but he is really stupid. Oh, you're stuck in the Matrix. Did you know the Matrix is a trans allegory? Yeah, I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, red, blue pill. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, the Wachowskis, which were brothers at the time, are the Wachowski sisters now. I love how the right-wingers, by the way, transphobe, homophobe, all that stuff, that's what that guy is. Oh, they can't help but go back to, oh, you're living in the Matrix. Using that as a reference. It's freaking hilarious. All right? It's funny. It's funny. But again, she got into his head massively. And so, yes, he puts out that cringy ass video. And so what happened right afterwards? Well, a day after that video, Romanian police raided their villa. In fact, it was on these allegations of holding 2 women against their will. One with American citizenship and one Romanian. During this time, those 2 women reported being sexually exploited and forced to participate in, quote, pornographic demonstrations that were documented and spread throughout social media platforms. So behind the scenes, he's running essentially, allegedly a horror show. Now, for me, this is no surprise. Generally, the worst kind of person you are on the outside, the worst kind of stuff that you say and do on the outside, it generally informs who you are as a person in your private life. I'm not shocked. Apparently other people are shocked. I'm not shocked. He kind of shows you who he really is. And when people tell you who they are, you should probably believe them. Now, the brothers were questioned over the allegations on April 11th, but released. Well, now they're still in custody. So apparently that first run-in was not the last run-in. And currently they're still in jail as far as I know. So now let's get to the pizza boxes, which is the best part. The best part. Those pizza boxes are from Jerry's Pizza. That's a local Romanian pizza chain. Now, a lot of people, myself included, we thought, okay, he gave away his position to Romanian authorities from those stupid pizza boxes. Well, authorities say, oh, no. I mean, the feud did not lead to the Tate's arrest. In fact, we knew where he was the whole time. We were just planning it for this specific time. No, I don't know. I still think it's the pizza boxes. I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to stick with this story, okay? Just let me have it. Let me have it. Now, that said, following the news of the arrest, Greta Thunberg got the last word in And she said this. This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes. Again, in the video, he said, oh, make sure not to recycle them. Now, of course, you can actually recycle boxes, but because it's been in contact with food. But look, you get the point. Let us have this. It's fun. It's fun, and she knows this. It's a hilarious dig. I enjoy it. And look, I enjoy it because you have one of the worst people that are getting what he deserves. When I first talked about this story, I talked about how society rewards people for the worst people in the world that are terrible. They reward them with wealth and fame, fortune. And well, it looks as though, I guess I was a little wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, was rewarded with fame, wealth, and fortune, but it appears that karma has come for him. Again, he preyed on young men almost as much as young women, I would think, while holding contempt for both of them. You think he cares about the young men that he's supposedly teaching to be rich and powerful? No, of course not. No, he sees them all as marks. Idiots. People to be taken advantage of. To steal from. That's what he thinks about. He thinks everyone who follows him is an idiot waiting to be exploited. That's who they are. And of course, he's shown that he hates women. But the stuff that he teaches his so-called students to treat women, it's all misogynistic 1930s, absolute bullshit fucking garbage. That is not going to help any young man. I understand that there's an issue with young men, in this world feeling lost, in guidance, and there's a conversation that needs to be had. And there should be better resources to avoid them going into the hands of the Jordan Petersons and the Andrew Tates. Those are not good role models. Those are garbage role models. They're going to lead you in the wrong direction. They're going to lead you to being involved in a pyramid scheme, and they're going to lead you to being alone. Ain't a woman going to want to be with that. Oh, you think those women that were with Andrew Tate were there for anything other than, a paycheck? Or, I guess in some cases, being forced to be there? Exactly. Again, he's hurting the young boys and men. Listen to him. And that are actively being scammed, believing that they are defying the Matrix or something. No, it's all garbage. This couldn't happen to a better person getting arrested. And so, I want to think that picking a fight with Greta Thunberg was part of his downfall. And look, by the way, I have noticed a pattern. Anybody who messes with Greta seems to have bad fortunes going forward. Look, for example, you remember when Donald Trump went after her? He's not doing so well, is he? Nope, not so much. And apparently, there is Andrew Tate. Fun. Okay. Let's go to Ginni Thomas. Oh, boy. This is both an interesting and significant story. All right. The wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, this is Ginni Thomas, admitted that she actually didn't have any evidence of voter fraud when she had lobbied Mark Meadows to get Mike Pence to not certify the 2020 election. So now we get this, of course, with her interview with the House committee investigating the attack on the Capitol. So there's a lot here, including her having some regrets. So let's get through it. Now, in this interview that was released on Friday, Ms. Thomas admitted that she knew absolutely nothing. Quote, I can't say that I was familiar at the time with any specific evidence. I was just hearing it from news reports and friends on the ground. Grassroots activists who were inside of various polling places that found things suspicious. Oh, yes, very suspicious. Yes. I don't actually know what I'm talking about or know how these things work, but I found it very suspicious, because random YouTube video. Okay, great. Because of, let's be honest, there were issues with some polling places because the infrastructure is ancient and never or almost never gets upgraded properly because there's no funding for this infrastructure. So that said, she was asked later by Republican committee member Liz Cheney to confirm that she had seen no list of fraud or irregularities and said, quote, "Right, I know, I wasn't very deep in it. I admit it. I wasn't very deep. Mainly, I guess I was just talking out of my ass. When I texted Mark Meadows claiming that Biden was stealing the election. Of course, she does have an excuse for that. But I'll get to that. First, here's her text. This was on November 10th. Saying, quote, "Help this great president stand firm, Mark. You are the leader with him who is standing for America's constitutional government's the precipice. The majority knows that Biden and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history." And yet, you had zero evidence to back that up. Yes, but I had feelings, you see. I didn't have facts, but I had the feelings. Many, many feelings. It turns out your feelings are not evidence. No evidence at all. And again, she knew it. She didn't care. But let's get to her excuses, right? First of all, regret. Quote, "I regret all these texts. I was just clearly emotional. It was an emotional time. I was probably just emoting." Really? I was clearly with Mark Meadows somewhat. Now, among things that Thomas had wrote as well were her frustration about the whole coup, initial support for Sidney Powell, a later embattled Trump lawyer who promised for months to release the Kraken, which we know was a floppy fish, dead fish, of supposed evidence of the widespread voter fraud and criticism of Vice President Mike Pence sent after the January 6th Capitol riot. Thomas told the panel that she was unclear what she meant by a coup. I didn't know what I was saying. I was just really emotional. I had the sad. So, okay, for me, that makes me think that she was really appealing to conservatives with that statement. Why do I say that? Because there's a lot of conservatives that believe that women shouldn't be in positions of power and that you shouldn't take them seriously because, we're too emotional. And I think that she's making that argument. I can't say for certain, but that's what it sounds like to me. What can you say? I have a feeling that she's, again, making the argument that, me as a woman, I get so upset that, I said things that I didn't mean. You can't really trust it. That I say I wasn't really serious. I was just emoting. Right. Okay. Yeah. When she was, again, promoting a coup attempt. Now, she also had repeated her claims that there is a wall between her and her conservative activism and Justice Thomas, her husband, on the nation's highest court in the land, and repeatedly denied discussing into the post-2020 election cases with her husband, and claimed that he's simply uninterested in politics. Really? Is that what? We're supposed to believe that Clarence Thomas is not interested in the politics in this incredibly conservative Supreme Court. May I remind you that Justice Thomas was a lone vote against releasing these very text messages from Mark Meadows. concerning his wife. Not interested in the politics at all. Sure. Right. Now, the closest she came to acknowledging any political conversation with Justice Thomas was a reference to her best friend. Locking her up on November 24th, Thomas had just texted Meadows that she was considering leaving politics, quote, "If you all cave to the elites, your husband is a Supreme Court justice. You are a member of the elites." I don't know if you know that. And then her excuse, though, is that she had told the panel that she didn't remember the conversation she had with her husband. Quote, "I wish I could remember, but I have no memory of the specifics. My husband often administers spousal support to the wife that's upset. So I assume that's what it was. But I just wish I could remember, but I was just so hysterical." Oh my God. I mean, seriously. That's ridiculous. Excuses. Again, she used her access to Trump's inner circle to try to convince them to try to steal an election. That's what this is. So now Thomas said that even though she didn't see any evidence herself and still went forward with pushing Mark Meadows, texting Mark Meadows to try to help, right? She was listening. She said, well, I was just getting this information from my friends. I was getting it from my friends in right-wing media. Really? Like, who? Well, got a couple of examples. Fox News. Donald Trump, who was spreading this big lie without evidence. Steve Bannon. Even at Sean Hannity. Again, Sean Hannity, among many others, that were spreading the specter of voter fraud. Oh, it's voter fraud everywhere. So much voter fraud. Now, interestingly enough, Hannity, as I mentioned, Hannity knew there was no evidence and didn't even actually believe in the big lie. He admitted this during a deposition that he didn't believe it for 1 second. Donald Trump's allegations of voter fraud. Didn't believe it, not for 1 second. But now at the same time, Hannity said something very, very different to Lin Wood and had continuously blasted it out to his audience. So if she's listening to Sean Hannity, which is very likely, very possible, then, well, you know, she would be getting that message of mass voter fraud. We've got evidence of mass voter fraud. It's there. So much evidence. That never materialized and never will. And it didn't just get blasted out to Thomas. It also got blasted out to people who would eventually storm the Capitol building. And that's why it's important, by the way, to talk about the media, conservative media on this. Now, whether you believe her in not being deep into this enough to know, I'm very, very skeptical of it, by the way. It does bring up a good point. When Fox News, or when I should say conservatives tune into Fox News, and they see nothing but chyrons of mass voter fraud. Democrats are stealing the election. A lot of them think, well, I trust Hannity. I trust these figures. I trust, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham. They're telling me the truth. They're the only ones telling me the truth. And the truth just happens to be whatever I want to hear. Well, obviously I have to do something. And understand that this news station has massive reach. Tucker Carlson is the most watched conservative host in the world. Massive reach. And so when they are knowingly going out there and telling lies to which they have no evidence for, that has an impact. And the people that they reach are not just regular people who are watching at home. It's also could be the wife of the Supreme Court justice. who has inroads to people. She believed in this conspiracy theory, even knowing she didn't have the evidence and certainly didn't need to have any evidence. That's also important. And, still, even without any of that, decided to lobby Trump's chief of staff into pressuring Pence into trying to help with the plot to steal the election. And understand, this is how far it goes. This is how effective conservative media is. And, of course, another example of how Fox News is dangerous. They don't care about facts at all. And they will mislead people in order to do the job that they set out to do, which is to protect the Republican Party and the donors specifically as much as possible. Okay. Moving on. Last story of the day. A MAGA supporter at the Capitol on January 6th is really tired of the conspiracy theories about him. Oh, it's interesting. So now this is a man who, didn't think that the lepers would eat his face. And that man, of course, is Arizona's Ray Epps. So Ray Epps, of course, is the target of massive right-wing conspiracy theories. And he had spoken to the January 6th committee about his experiences following the Capitol riots, including the often cited, again, conspiracy theory that he was a Fed, that he was part of the FBI, and that it was the FBI who orchestrated or who somehow led Trump supporters, which were, according to another conspiracy theory, were all Antifa into the Capitol building to discredit Trump supporters who had showed up, but then actually had not showed up, but that members of the right wing, the ones who are in jail, are being supported by Marjorie Greene and other members of the right wing who think they're political prisoners being treated very poorly. There's a lot to this conspiracy. There's so much here. Sometimes you have to, put up like a whiteboard or something like Glenn Beck and start drawing all these lines between, because that's what they're doing. All right. So that said, all these conspiracy theories are fascinating because it really does show you how far they'll go to try to never take any responsibility for anything anyone on their side does wrong. Really. It's always things like, oh, it's the deep state. No, it's the FBI. It's Antifa. It's crisis actors. Aliens in a skin suit. Okay, let me tell you.
It's not human intelligence.
Okay, it's not. It's CIA, NSA, DC Metropolitan Police. There's all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that conspiracy theories don't exist or conspiracies don't exist. There was a conspiracy to try to overturn the results of the election. It was just the right wingers that were doing it. All right. And look, the thing is, is that you have these things that are not backed up by any sort of evidence. Again, the mass voter fraud, et cetera, et cetera. That said, let's go on to Epps, because I risk getting derailed. Epps told the January 6th committee that the theory that he was working for the FBI never made much sense to him. Now, before I go further, has the FBI infiltrated groups before? Yes. Yeah, of course. In fact, that's how the Michigan governor kidnapping plot was broken up. The FBI had infiltrated these right-wingers that were planning to basically kidnap and do a mock trial on Gretchen Whitmer. So the FBI, of course, got wind of the plot, embedded themselves into these groups, 3%ers specifically, and were able. That's how they were caught. And so, yes, you do get the FBI and other law enforcement groups that do this undercover work, that embed themselves. But in this case, is there any evidence that Ray Epps is a FBI agent? No, not at all. But again, that's never really stopped the right wing from coming up with a conspiracy theory. In fact, he told the January 6th committee, he's like, look, me working for all that stuff, the government, that's ridiculous. I mean, no. The only time I've been involved with the government, he said, is when I was a Marine. All right. That said, the right, and this was spread by Marjorie Green, by the way. This is part of a video that she had posted on Twitter, and this is her proof. This is their proof that he is that he's an FBI agent, that he's a Fed.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed.
Oh, see, so they said he was a Fed. So that must be, they must have been right. No, look, again, you had a lot of people that were at January 6th, and not all of them stormed into the Capitol, because not all of them were complete and utter morons. Most of them, yes. But the ones who were there who didn't go into the Capitol, yes, a lot of them still did trespassing. Still. All right. You did trespassing, but you weren't actually in the building smashing up windows or beating up police officers or trying to search for Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence. Okay. So that's it. That's their evidence. Some people called him a Fed because he wanted to go into the Capitol building. All right. Now, Epps told the committee that he was under the impression that the building, which is closed to the general public because of COVID restrictions, would be open, saying the Capitol is the people's house in the rotunda. People could go into the rotunda and see what's happening there. My vision was get as many people in there as we can and surround it, be there, let them know that we're not happy with what has happened, and that was it. No violence. I never intended to break the law. It's not in my DNA. I'm sure you've looked up my record. I don't break the law. Okay, but sure, he was there. And there's body camera footage of him. And this body camera footage of him showed him asking law enforcement how he could assist them in attempting to calm the crowd. Now, if you're a Fed, wouldn't you be trying to incite the crowd? Wouldn't you be there saying, no, let's keep going, let's go, push through. No. And then, by the way, if you're a Fed, you would say push through and then slide back and let everyone else do it. He didn't do that. He was telling people, look, I just want to, everybody calm down. In fact, another rioter, one of the first to breach the barricades, told authorities that Epps had told him to relax and that the police were just doing their jobs. Okay. Now, so no, I don't think it was. He said go to the Capitol. A lot of people said go to the Capitol. Trump said go to the Capitol. Well, Brooks was telling people to go to the Capitol. There you go. They all were. Now, once they were there, Epps apparently didn't go into the Capitol building. He said he was helping a man having a medical issue and decided not to come back because of what was going on. He said, I just looked around and I was sick. There was a lot of tear gas, a lot of bad stuff going on. I saw people crawling all over the Capitol, climbing the walls. It made me kind of ill to my stomach. There was no point in going back. It had gone beyond to what I wanted it to be. So now, look, I think the point of people going to the Capitol, a lot of those who went to the Capitol, specifically to break into the building, I mean, look, there was the mob mentality, of course, but there were some of those people who had actually planned to do this all along in order to intimidate Mike Pence and members of Congress into not certifying the election. And this is part of that Green Bay sweep. Okay. Yet, the thing is, he was not one of those people. Epps wasn't. Now, that said, Epps became the target of conspiracy theory anyway. And it was spread by the same members of Congress who actually voted not to certify the election. You had Thomas Massie, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Greene saying, oh, this guy, he's obviously a Fed. No, I don't believe that. This guy's a MAGA guy, and he believes in his own conspiracy theories about this. In fact, he still believes in conspiracy theories about mass voter fraud, election fraud, and also believes that it wasn't Trump supporters that were breaking into the Capitol. He told the committee that it was Antifa. But we're supposed to believe that he's a Fed. When he's literally doing their talking points, they still believe it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And by the way, it also saying that he is a Fed that that was encouraging the crowd of alleged Trump supporters, I guess in their mind, because they can't figure out if it's Antifa or Trump supporters that were led into the Capitol, because it'd be really weird for a Fed to lead Antifa supporters into the Capitol building to make Trump supporters look bad. But anyway, they'll find a way to make that make sense. But the ones who believe that it was Trump supporters that were there, well, they say, well, this guy, it's all his fault that Trump supporters went in. Well, then how are you the free thinkers then? How are you call everybody else a sheep, but you get led by one guy who allegedly is a Fed into the Capitol building to then, smear feces all over the walls, floors, break down doors, windows, beat up cops. That's all because of him? No. Okay. Are they so weak-willed they would listen to this one guy? No. Come on. None of this makes any sense. Doesn't hold any water. So again, at the end of the day, you've got MAGA pointing the finger at Epps pointing the finger at Antifa, which isn't an organization at all, nor was anyone affiliated with Antifa even there, which again isn't a group or believes in that ideology, but facts don't matter. And this is really the whole point here. The facts don't matter for them. They're going to blame him anyway. And again, the situation got really bad because the online MAGA mob decided to go after him. And now, I'm not saying that I feel bad for him. No, but just this is the situation. He says his grandchildren were being picked on at school because of his actions, and that more seriously, he's gotten death threats. He's also had business issues, people showing up at his house. Quote, we had a tour bus come by to our home and our business with all these whacked out people in it. There are good people out there that was in Washington. Those aren't the people that's coming by our house. This attracts, when they do this sort of thing, this attracts all the crazies out there. And they, he refers to, of course, as Marjorie Greene and others that were pointing the finger at him, essentially, for what happened on January 6th. And he said, quote, I mean, it's real crazy stuff. And they brought that kind of stuff to the floor of the House. And he specifically talked about Thomas Massie there. When that happened, it just blew up. It got really, really bad. Him and Gaetz and Greene, and yeah, they're just blowing this thing up. So it got really, really difficult after that. The crazies started coming out of the woodwork. He's so close. He's so close. And then the one person that he declines to blame is Trump. Again, interesting, because again, if Fed and you're following these right-wing conspiracy theories, isn't the prevailing theory that they want to blame this all on Trump to take Trump down? Yeah, I know. It's, again, all these things, when you look at them, don't really make all that much sense. That said, here's what he said about Trump. I think that he's being misled right now. I think he surrounded himself by a few people that they don't have the truth. And they're trying to push a narrative. Look, at the end of the day, as I said before, I don't feel bad for Ray Epps. Why? It's because it's the people that you threw in with. You believed in this conspiracy theory. You showed up on January 6th. You got other people to try to show up on January 6th. Why are you at all surprised when the leopard started eating your face? This is what happens. In the search to find someone to blame other than themselves, they will point at some random person, in this case, Epps, and say, well, it was all his fault. He's the patsy. He's the real problem. And of course, that has real implications. I don't, I feel bad for his family for getting harassed and attacked and his grandkids and stuff. But I don't feel bad for him specifically because this is what he had asked for. This is what he had gotten himself into. And as usual, if you fuck around, you're going to find out. In this case, he's finding out from his supposed friends. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I got. That was a fast show. Off the screen. All right. So before I go, I'm gonna read some super chats, all that stuff. First, LOL, thank you for the gifted 5 Waldorf Nation memberships on YouTube. Thank you. Jason Spitzer, thank you for the very kind $2. Mr. Aeroshan, thank you for becoming a member on YouTube. Koro, thank you for the 1 gifted sub on YouTube as well. Rialan N, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. I don't know why I keep calling them subs. Talking about Twitch. But thank you for the memberships on YouTube. And Rialan N, thank you for becoming a member for 23 months and saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. And the chat. See you all in 2023. And Changeling DJ, thank you for re-upping your membership. 5 months. Happy New Year to you as well. Let's go to Twitch here. See if there's anything going on. Yesterday, I forgot to give a shout out to Kaylee Fox for resubbing for a month at Tier 1 for 8 months. Appreciate that. And Lava Rain, thank you for resubbing with Prime for 8 months. Happy New Year, Jeff and Waldorf Nation family. Thank you. Thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you so much for subs and well, not subs, but the memberships. And thank you for subbing too. You should probably do that if you haven't already. And thank you for the super chats. And thank you to all the Twitch members. Thank you to the Facebook community. You're all wonderful as well. Yeah. Oh, had another thing pop up. The Brown Note. Thank you for being a member for 36 months. Appreciate that. Be safe this weekend. Much love. Absolutely. Just there's so much the kindness is overflowing, and I do appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Very, very kind. The schedule. We're off Monday. I'll be back on Tuesday. So have a nice extra extra day off from the insanity of the news, but yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday. Another great show, and to begin a new year, and hopefully 2023 is going to be better than the disaster of 2022. We'll see what happens. All right. Again, thank you all. Love you. Remember, change begins with you. Happy New Year. We'll see you back here 2023.
I will eat your ass. Disappointed!
Go for it, bitch. Come at me.
There's no ice cream in hell.
No.
Pelosi, despacho police. Peachtree dish.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.